Hey, if you are watching this, you're on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@JakeTwitchin, and thanks for being here, and like and fucking subscribe. But this is an excerpt of my podcast that I do with a buddy of mine. It's just a chopped out little section. You can find that over on @GameList Show on all networks. You can just search GameList in your favorite podcast app. You want the easiest way to find all of my shit? AmazingStreamer.com. I bought the URL, baby. It's my website. But without further ado, here's a little preview of what we're doing over there on the podcast end of things. It's a good conversation. You'll enjoy it. I promise. Maybe. This is a really interesting one too, because this was not ever supposed to be out there, and it's not the FTC's fault. This was, I think it was Reset Era. One of the users on the message board was looking through the stuff that was recently uploaded by Microsoft to the FTC's website, and among the things that were in there was an encrypted file that, if you loaded into Adobe Acrobat Reader, included a portion of what appears to be some sort of internal document that was shared among executives and teams within Xbox over the last couple of years that included information from like 2020 to 2022. Nothing. This wasn't like an email that was blasted out last week or anything like that. But goddamn, there was some emails that were included, no doubt about it. So what happened was, I guess we'll go from the top to the bottom. So the first big headline here is The Elder Scrolls 6 is an Xbox console exclusive. Surprised?
Not really, sadly.
Yeah.
Which I will say, I like Skyrim is one of the most influential games of my life. Like, so I was really wanting Elder Scrolls 6 on PlayStation so I could trophy hunt it. Which Phil Spencer said, hey, it'll be a case-by-case basis, but we all knew it doesn't. Case-by-case basis also means nothing. So it was futile to get our hopes up for anything.
Yeah.
It's business after all.
Agreed. Activision was briefed on the Switch successor late last year. Let's make this the conversation about all the Switch 2 rumors as well. We'll just loop that in right here.
Yeah.
So we started having some things circulate about, we recorded very soon after Gamescom last time we did an episode, and apparently at Gamescom, behind closed doors, the first rumblings of Nintendo was showing off the Switch 2 to developers, or the Switch successor, which is comparable in power to the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, and has a similar form factor.
I read that it was more comparable to PS4 and 360, or not 360, PS4 and Xbox One.
Okay.
But it's tough because it's probably like somewhere in between, really.
Yeah, still nothing concrete there. None of this is actually out yet. It's all still rumor. But it seems to be getting backed up more and more, and then through this Xbox leak shows off more. But the two things that they showed off allegedly behind the scenes were Breath of the Wild, not Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild running on this new hardware with upgraded, which doesn't imply that Breath of the Wild upgraded version is coming to the Switch 2, even though they'd be foolish not to release an enhanced version of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. But also the Unreal Awakening demo that was shadow dropped to
the Matrix
Awakening. Yes, the Unreal 5
Engine
demo.
5,
yeah, where they sell assets for all of your fucking video game needs. That was shadow dropped after like the Game Awards 2021 or something like that. Does that sound right?
Something like that, yeah.
2020 even? I don't know.
Possibly.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Tough call.
I can't quite remember.
Pretty crazy.
There is I'll read it while it's up. I've got like a VGC thing up. They ran the Matrix Awakens tech demo with Unreal Engine 5, and it had like ray tracing and stuff, but it was AI driven upscaling. So the hardware is probably more like a PS4, Xbox One, but just because it's got like a different form of Unreal on it, which I think, like, at this point, can we just all agree to shut the hell up about game engines? I've heard the sentiment more recently, like, that kind of agrees with me. Like, we act like we know so much about game engines. We don't know anything, man. Like, I think the whole game engine talk, like people talking about Starfield, like, this is going to be a bad game because it's on the Creation Engine. So annoying. But yeah, it's supposed to be more like PS4, Xbox One hardware in terms of power, but it will be taking advantage of some of the newer software stuff like Unreal 5.
Very cool. At the same time that we get a bunch of details on the Switch 2. And basically what the Xbox end of this thing does is kind of confirms those rumors that we've been hearing for a while, because Activision, in, of course, their endless quest to acquire them, was shown that Switch 2 hardware, indeed, at some point late last year. But that's not it for hardware. Go ahead.
Is that maybe interesting to you? I'm choking up here. That they showed it to Activision. I understand like Activision's a big publisher and everything, but I'm trying to think of Activision games that are on the Switch. Diablo's not there.
It's really easy to forget because of how big
Activision is.
No, because of how big the Switch is. It's very easy to forget the way that the Switch launched, because Nintendo had come off of basically 2 in a row weird consoles. The Wii U, for all intents and purposes, a failure, and the Wii, not a very powerful system. It was the first time that Nintendo didn't really enter the console wars with a technologically sound device for modern times. Instead, they went with innovation as far as like control scheme went. Obviously, we know how that played out. Good for a while, but didn't stand the test of time. But when the Switch launched, there was a big lack of third-party buy-in and support, and it wasn't until like a year or two into the console cycle when the Switch started to take off. The supply and demand thing happened. The first-party game started selling units, and all of a sudden, and it still happens to this day, the name of the game started being "Let's double dip cash grab Switch owners and port our games in there." So I think
that's true.
I think whatever's happening behind closed doors in Nintendo is, with the Switch 2 being a more powerful console, let's make sure that we have that buy-in to prevent what happened with the Switch's launch this time around.
Yeah, which it's supposedly supposed to be backwards compatible too. So
huge. Yeah. We love that. All your eShop purchases. More on eShop. Nintendo. I gotta say this. I'm just gonna say this because now it's top of my mind. I just gotta blurt it out. I fucking love F-Zero 99. Coolest thing Nintendo's done in such a long time. We'll get there.
Cooler than Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom?
No, but very cool. Cooler than Tears of the Kingdom, maybe, because Tears of the Kingdom is just more Breath of the Wild, and it's awesome and it's better than Breath of the Wild. But F-Zero 99 is fucking cool, man.
Okay. We'll
get there. Let's talk about Xbox consoles, because this is maybe the biggest leak.
Got distracted.
I don't know. The biggest headline, I would say, from this whole thing. So the biggest like concrete thing, and shout out to Video Games Chronicle for coming up with these motherfucking little thummies that were pulled from the actual document itself. Codename Brooklin, spelled the way that you'd think, Brooklin, is the Xbox Series X mid-generation refresh, basically. So the Xbox One X of the Series X.
While you say the mid-generation refresh, Phil Spencer was like going crazy on interviews recently saying, yeah, we don't need a refresh. Refreshes are stupid. And then here we go with the refresh.
Well, this is like the worst thing that can happen for Xbox trying to, like, a lot of their leaks have been like, this actually instills great faith in the company. They're doing things that are going to move things forward. It's maybe making people that are thinking about getting an Xbox say, I should get an Xbox. What happens here
Not this one.
What happens here is that I think the biggest thing that a prematurely shooting your wad and having a leak of your mid-generation refresh, I think, pumps the brakes for people that are thinking about buying an Xbox Series X this holiday season, or an Xbox Series S.
I agree, but it also pumps the brakes on me with Xbox at all, because we've known for a while with their Game Pass, they're probably going to go all digital at some point, but I hate all digital. I hate it.
It's looking like cloud hybrid for the successor, which we'll get to that in a little bit too, because it's looking like a 2028 Xbox or the next generation of video games starts.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And it is extremely unattractive to me. I don't want that.
Losing the disc drive. So that's the thing for audio listeners. Essentially what you have here is something that looks kind of similar to the Xbox Series X right now.
It looks like a toilet paper roll.
End, yeah, but it's cylindrical as opposed to box shaped. So you're going to lose your ability to play it on its side, and it also lacks a disc drive, but then obviously the internals are all upgraded and shit like that. Interesting. And I mean, yeah, I get it. It's crazy that like we'll get into some more differences between us later on in the show with how we've like received some things that are coming up when we've been playing.
Yeah.
But the fact that I'm the one who's like cool and good to go on digital, yet I'm the fucking retro old head gamer, and you are the one who is like, I like physical media. It's just so crazy, dude. I'm fucking 35, and I'm like, I don't want discs anymore.
I love physical media. Look what I got physical this week, bro.
Lies of P on
Lies of
disc.
P. On disc, bro.
On fucking PlayStation 5 on disc when this guy owns a Series X and has a Game Pass subscription.
Yeah.
So wild.
Actually, no, I don't have a Game Pass subscription.
But you could for just $16.99 a month. You too could have.
Yeah.
In addition to the Xbox Series X refresh, they showed Ellewood, Project Ellewood, Ellewood, the Xbox Series S refresh, which is very similar to the existing Xbox Series S, and I believe it's just a placeholder photo because it's an identical box as well. But at the same time, it appears there would be.
They're already pushing an Xbox Series S that is black, and so it's 1 terabyte.
Yeah, so it's the same internals, but it's a black and it's $50 more. It's $349.99.
Yeah, this will be
$299.
Like these refreshes, from what I can tell, they're not getting more processing power. They're just cutting down on waste, such as like electrical waste.
Yeah, going
and they're
greener, packaging is recyclable, that kind of thing.
And they're upgrading their Wi-Fi modules and Bluetooth modules and stuff like that. But there's no like extra processing power from what I can tell.
Games. I don't believe games look better on the Xbox Series S Project Ellewood.
It's not it's not a PS4 to PS4 Pro or an Xbox One to Xbox One X. It's just,
it doesn't appear that way. I mean, time will tell. That again, these are early documents and these are leaks. This is all speculative, but that seems to be the case.
I just want to say, like, I hate digital media, but for my use case for the Xbox, I would have preferred a Series X without a disc drive, because
all right.
Because I wanted it. I would rather have it the way PlayStation did it, where they have a disc drive for $500 and then they have a digital version for $400. Like that, I would have gone for the 400 one in Xbox's case if that was a thing. But this way, it's still the $500 and I'm losing the disc drive.
Right.
It doesn't seem like a reasonable upgrade to me. If they offered the side-by-side models like PlayStation, I would be more open to it. But I just feel like they're taking... I wonder
if they do.
I maybe. Yeah. But it just feels like from this stuff that they're taking the next step towards an all-digital future, which I don't like at all.
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting too because the Xbox Series X having a disc drive, I think, is one of the more appealing things. And despite owning an Xbox Series S and not an X, the X's appeal to me was the backwards compatibility of original Xbox and 360 games
with the drive,
and Xbox One games with the drive, which is really cool. But I've found that as like somebody who streams a lot of retro games and a lot of licensed video games that are not like officially in the backwards compatibility program, it is way easier for me to just run an Xbox 360. I have like an old like
that's fair.
Xbox Series X, the final fucking refresh with the fucking ding button. When you open it,
the Elite, I think it was called.
I think it was an Elite, but I actually got the 4 gigabyte, so it has the internal storage with a 250 gigabyte drive stuck inside of it, because you could upgrade that aftermarket as well. Because I like the matte finish more than I like the glossy finish, and let me tell you, that stood the fucking test of time. If I had that glossy one, it would look like dog shit right now.
It's true.
Instead, that Xbox looks slick.
Which I also wonder. There's rumors about the PlayStation Slim without a disc drive, with like a modular plug-in disc drive. I wonder if Xbox would do something like that in the future.
Probably. It's so messy though, because like talking about the prices too, how it's like $299 for an Xbox Series S, $349 for a Series S at 1 terabyte, which at this point you need terabyte internal storage for some of the bigger games. Like fucking, you can barely fit Warzone. That's a Warzone machine if you install Warzone on the Series S as it is. And then you'll go $349, $399 for a disc-less PlayStation 5, $499 for your PlayStation 5 with the disc, or the Xbox Series X with the disc. Who knows what these mid-generation refreshes have, or PlayStation Slim. It's all over.
And like, can you imagine once these new refreshes for Xbox come out? We've made the joke since Xbox One, like, you ask your grandma for an Xbox for Christmas and she gets the wrong one. Now there's going to be 3 different versions of a Series S, which all in all they're fairly similar.
Series
but
XS.
You ask your grandma for a Series X and she gets you the one without a disk drive when you have all these discs or whatever. Or you ask her for your Series X and she thinks you say S and then she gets the wrong. It's like, this is miserable. It's just miserable. I'm so glad I am my own consumer here.
For sure. It's super fucking messy, and I hope that they get their naming conventions right at some point. And it's not getting easier too when like people say like
it's just getting harder.
And then grab me a year subscription of Game Pass, and they go, oh, did you want Game Pass Core or Game Pass Ultimate or Game Pass for PC or Game Pass for Xbox?
PlayStation has the same problem now with their
PlayStation created that problem. They said, you know what's fucking cool?
Premium extra.
We'll get PlayStation. I finally locked it down because I became a believer and started subscribing to Premium right before they jacked up the prices. More on that later. We got a great episode of GameList going right now, but there's fucking more to unpack. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I got the PS Now. I bought like 4 years of PS Now before they swapped over and it got automatically upgraded to the extra or to the premium. So I have it until like 2027 for nothing.
Just my year of PlayStation Plus Premium is still good until like February, so I'm fucking like feeling good that I got half a year of like kind of the cheaper thing. But at this point, I'm fucking, you know, the Xbox Game Pass is not available on like a 3-month or 12-month or 6-month period anymore. You can only get it monthly. There's no
only
fucking
get it
discount.
Monthly. It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
That's so fucking annoying. Like I really hate like monthly subscriptions and shit like that, and I will buy the year and just take the fucking swift kick in the mouth whenever I can, so that it's not just like this constant fucking draining of my bank account. But god damn, that's so annoying. And it makes you feel a little bit better about something when you can get that 1 year and save a little bit in advance, like September at twitch.tv/JakeTwitchin for just $3.74. You can get yourself a fucking 1-month subscription to my channel. What a time to be alive. That's not all. There's still so much. Let's stay on the topic of hardware and talk about that both of these consoles are to be packed in with a controller refresh, codenamed Sebile, S-E-B-I-L-E. It is this godforsaken looking fucking
it looks really bad.
Xbox
I wasn't going to say
wearing...
It looks really bad.
I'm a defender. It looks somewhere in between the current Xbox controller and like the base version of the Elite, like the new shitty Elite controller, not the Xbox Elite Core controller. Yeah, so it's white, but then under the control stick and the thumb pad, it's like it's wearing black pants. Like the grips are black. It looks so fucking stupid.
It's literally the argument of, if you put pants on an Xbox controller, would it wear it like this or like this? They put it on.
Unfortunately, we know.
It's like, I feel like they put those grips in the worst place. Like they cut off halfway up, and what is the purpose of having the grips
jarring
in the
and
middle?
Alarming on your hand? I feel like, I don't know, it doesn't look great, but here's what it does: is it's supposed to be an increase in price is going to be upwards of like $70 this time around. Again, all rumored, but it adds the accelerometer, so some motion controls, so that it can
which is 2 generations late, we might add.
Absolutely. And honestly, as somebody who has become a believer after playing like Splatoon and Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and having the gyro options for fine-tuning your aim, I really like that, and it is sorely missing in the Xbox controller. So add that for sure. It adds an internal speaker on the bottom, and it adds haptic feedback, which is in the triggers already on the Xbox Series.
Not really. It's just got rumble.
Got it.
It's in the triggers, but it's rumble.
It's adding that as well. And then there's also shit floating around for 2 additional controllers, an upgraded version of the I'm assuming what it's going to be is like the Elite Core and then the Elite controllers as well. But then basically this would be the new bottom of the line. This is packed in with your console. This is available in a bunch of different fucking colors on Xbox Design Lab or Atomic Purple or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I will say a couple things I like about this controller refresh. They have quieter buttons and thumbsticks. The Xbox buttons are so so loud.
Sure. But I hope they keep the D-pad where it is. I love the D-pad on the fucking...
The D-pad's fine. Yeah, the D-pad's fine.
It's good. It's the best D-pad on modern controllers, and that's why I think I love the controller where it's at right now. It's got the, like, geometrical disc, if you will, and it kind of clicks into place. And I, as somebody who fucking foolishly bought Street Fighter on PlayStation and not Xbox, god damn, it doesn't hold a fucking candle to this Xbox's D-pad.
Just get a fight pad, bro.
I know I should, or a hitbox or something, but
yeah. They also have modular thumbsticks, which I'm always a fan of.
For sure. I would say like once. Go ahead.
Oh, it has a new like functionality called lift to wake, and I think I would like that, but I think I would also hate it because I always bump my controllers and then it would turn on my PlayStation every time I bump it, so I'd be pissed. But
for sure.
Yeah.
I think with the consoles getting refreshed, the controllers getting refreshed, it's arguably a step in the right direction, but that's not it for console news. I think maybe the biggest thing and the most interesting thing, and I really want to pick your brain on what you think about this, is with the existing consoles, at least as of 2022, they released or leaked the market share of Xbox Series consoles, and 75% of Series console owners own the Series S and 25% own the Series X. That's fucking insane.
It's crazy, but it makes sense why they're forcing parity between S and X now in terms of games. Which I think it's bad. Like, I feel like the S is holding back a lot of innovation in terms of computing stuff, whatever, for games.
It is,
but then again, I will say I think in the last decade, games have focused too much on realism in terms of graphics and stuff, and instead of innovation in gameplay systems. Which I think, a lot of the times people work best when they are constrained by the technology they have. So I don't know. It's just wild. It's just wild to me that.
Do you know if Starfield is available on Xbox One?
It's not.
So I think that's really what it kind of comes down to, is that the Xbox Series S is the cheapest foot in the door for next generation gaming. And it's why I ended up with an Xbox Series S. I said that I'd buy an X when they demanded that I have one. And because of my backwards compatibility being Xbox 360 and prior being played on original hardware, I don't have a use case for it anymore. So what I've started to do is gravitate towards that S because it was the affordable way to get my foot in the door with just the Xbox ecosystem. I said that I'd do it and I'd take the step into the series when they started barring me away from console gaming that I couldn't do on my Xbox One X, and that started with Hi-Fi Rush at the beginning of this year. I did what I said that I'd do. I went and I bought that fucking...
Oh, they didn't put Hi-Fi on the Xbox One. That's what you're saying.
Correct. Yep. Okay. So in January I bought one, and I actually got the fucking deal where I still got the holiday bundle for $250, which it's still back up to $300 now, which is awesome.
It'll come down.
And I've been really satisfied with it. And I think of that, the way that I justified that, because I was locked out of playing those games, I think for the general public, and it's tough to think about in our video game bubble because we are much more in tune with like games media and higher end influencers and enthusiasts and things like that, where it just seems like everyone has the X, the X, the X, the X. The S is so accessible, and if I take what I did to get my hands on things like Starfield, to get my hands on things like Hi-Fi Rush that weren't accessible to me as a PlayStation 5 owner, and you look at that from just like a next generation accessibility option for people that are unable to go out and just drop $500 on a whim, to be able to go and spend $250 or $300 on a Series S and have that be the way that you are now enabled to play big third-party exclusive things like Jedi Survivor in February, things like Hogwarts Legacy in April, I think is where they really got their foot in the door and did something right here. And I think that the good outweighs the bad when it comes to, like, we talk about this all the time with like accessibility and shit like that, about how like it's just, listen, get it, well, of course, adaptive controller, like get them an accessibility controller that allows more people to play. But we don't often think about people that are don't know, what's the fucking term here? Less fortunate? We don't think about people that don't have
Yeah.
expendable cash to just go and drop. Like, you know, you might be working hard and you got kids to support, you have financial responsibilities that prohibit you from going and buying high-end consoles that are $500. You get a good deal on a fucking used Xbox Series S for $220. Now you get to play all the shit that you were missing out on, and I think that makes up for a big portion of people that are in that 75%.
And the broader audience, they want something to play Fortnite or Rocket League on once or twice a week. So they don't want to spend $500 on something when they could just spend $200 or $300, which makes sense. Like, I literally know, I know people that just got a used Switch to play Fortnite because it was the cheapest way for them to play Fortnite. So I mean, it makes sense.
People with a Switch Lite that play Fortnite on that or on their phones.
Yeah, we often don't think about the general public because it's foreign to us how they consume video games. But the fact is that video games is such a large market, and it feels like just about every single person has interacted in it in one way or another, whether it be a game on their phone or they played Black Ops on the 360 back in the day. You know, we are the enthusiasts of enthusiasts that spend thousands of dollars a year, but that's just not how it goes. It's the $30 a year by 20 million people that makes the money. It's not us that makes the money. It's just odd, and I think PlayStation should probably do a better job about catering towards those people.
They've shown that it's possible. I just don't know. It's that give and take of like what is being held back. Like it's happening right now with like Larian Studios and Baldur's Gate 3. There's been some like back and forth with Microsoft having to kind of walk back. Like I guess that figures into the leak too. Like Microsoft undervalued Larian. They had the opportunity to get exclusivity for fucking like $5 million compared to like they spent like 200 or 300 million on other projects, and this is going on to become like essentially game of the year. You could have had exclusive Starfield and fucking Baldur's Gate on your console. Would have been a real hot ticket. More on that in a little bit, but just really crazy shit. I just don't know where the give and take is. It just seems like Xbox having that S as an opportunity, the good outweighs the bad, and the money.
Do you want me to run down some other hardware leaks real quick? Just really quickly. So there was a picture that leaked, and it says Xbox Gaming Beyond, and I'll just name off everything on this. It has browser, mobile, Android and iOS, smart TVs, low-end mid PCs, streaming sticks and set-top boxes, cloud devices.
For a while back too, like an Xbox that would just plug in like a Fire Stick.
Handhelds, consoles, high-end PCs, cloud blades, a one-handed controller, which is interesting, a mobile controller, kind of like a backbone, new audio devices. There's 3 controllers. It's the core, the premium, and the elite. So there's going to be like 3 tiers. I don't know what the differentiation is between each one.
I think it's going to be what we were talking about, where that is like what we were just talking about, that regular project with the Accelerometer $70 controller will be like the core.
It's just a core.
And then the elite core will be the premium, and then the flagship elite will be the elite.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then there's gaming keyboards and mouse. So, I mean, they're doing a lot of stuff, which we should have expected.
Sure.
But yeah, it's just, what crazy leaks.
It is crazy.
Do you have the games pulled up? Quick.
No, you pull up the games. I'm going to go on to one other thing that I want to bring up. Let's talk about like some emails and communications and talk about acquisitions. And really, like on day one when these leaks started coming out, the headline was not the stuff that we've talked about so far. It was Phil Spencer's extremely hard dick for acquiring Nintendo, which is
oh my god, how ridiculous is that?
Wild. And I think the most quotable moment of it is that it would be a career moment for Phil personally if he could acquire Nintendo, which you're not wrong, bro. Of course.
No, he's not. He's not wrong.
But some very heavy-handed quotes coming out from emails that were once private. I mean, dude, you got to think about like the amount of emails that have come out during this like FTC lawsuit and the Activision acquisition issues that have like popped up from it. You got to wonder what internal messaging looks like post 2022 from Microsoft, knowing that essentially at any moment your dick could just be fucking flopped out onto the table and exposed for everybody to see, because the way that Phil carries himself,
everything.
Yeah, I think Phil has asserted, like, I get that you could easily look at all this stuff and see Phil as a fucking villain. For me,
easily.
For me, I have seen Phil rise up the ranks in my book to like a almost like Satoru Iwata type of role. Like, I don't want to say Miyamoto because he is such a creative and like innovator, but Iwata I think is a better pick, where he is leading the teams that are creating this and fostering a fucking environment of a very video game first fucking mentality over everything else.
Well, and I think he can easily be seen as a villain, especially by PlayStation fans as myself. But I have to have a little bit of perspective, because one, I want to preface this by, I don't look at this as console wars. I hate the concept of console wars. Like, as long as we're getting good games, it's all good. But it is competition. You know, they're two competing companies in capitalism, under capitalism. Yeah. It's just how it is. So Phil Spencer could easily be seen as a villain, but dude just knows what he's doing. Like, he's a gamer that cares about games, and Xbox has been on the up ever since he took over. Like, it's just facts, and and PlayStation would be lucky to have him instead of freaking Ryan. Yeah, I can't even remember his name right now.
Jim Ryan.
I hate that dude.
Yeah, like, he's a fucking lifeless sack of bones.
He sucks, dude. He's terrible.
I've been working on a project for I guess my personal YouTube channel, youtube.com/@JakeTwitchin. But I've been digging into, we had Sean Layden for a long time, who was the president of SCEA, which is some Sony Computer Entertainment America, I believe. And in 2018, when he was retired from that role, when he dropped from that role was not filled again, and instead he was replaced. The face of PlayStation became Jim Ryan, who prior to this was not in that role. He's the CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment America, which is fucking nuts to not have that person who is just like games forward mentality, and you can see that drop off and that difference. Whereas, like, granted, you know, if you compare Sean Layden and Phil Spencer when they were both doing the thing, I think Sean Layden wins. The fact that Phil is now like 8 or 9 years into this project and just righting the ship and making it work is pretty impressive. And let me tell you, the Nintendo stuff is only one part of it. He had his eyes on Zynga, Sega, Square Enix, a bunch of things outside of Bethesda and Activision Blizzard, which obviously he has kind of ended up with. Warner Brothers, which is a really big one, which was Warner Brothers Interactive, which I think is now WB Games, same team, same business. Obviously huge.
The sad thing is, like, if he had have acquired pretty much any one of those other things other than ZeniMax, I would have been fine. But it just hurts that, like, Bethesda games are some of my favorite games. Bethesda Studios and Bethesda Publishing, like Doom, Dishonored, Fallout, Skyrim, all those things. The fact that I can't play those on my PlayStation, it hurts.
Maybe your favorite console should become the Xbox, man. You should become an Xbox guy.
Can't do it, man.
It's got all your favorite stuff. It's got your favorite guy in the business right now, Phil Spencer.
It doesn't have The Last
I get
of Us.
it. You know what you could be? You could be like, I love PlayStation. I loved all the way through Sean Layden and PlayStation 4. I was a PlayStation boy. And then when the Xbox Series X came out and the PS5 came out, I became a Phil Spencer Xbox boy. And you could just always be on the fucking winning side. I switch it up, baby. I switch it up.
Nah. Well, I mean, I don't really. It's just like, my PlayStation library is so vast.
Yeah.
I'll never switch over.
It's okay.
Like, I have both. That's the thing. I do both.
Yeah. It's not your PlayStation library. It's your video game library. It's okay.
That's true. Yeah. But some of the upcoming games. You want to get into those? The leaked
No,
games?
no. Let me talk more
No?
about Phil
Oh, okay,
Spencer
okay.
and his
Okay,
genius.
you want to suck
because
his dick a little bit longer?
I do. Well, it's just interesting the way that he carries himself in these emails is just like, I think, really, really impressive, because he is fucking swinging a big
Kind of
old
like
hog.
like a Chad, right?
Yeah, like a fucking Chad. To just like to close and put a bow on the Nintendo conversation, I think the most telling thing that he said is the way that he speaks about these things is he speaks as the head of a fucking company, where he speaks in definitives, and I think it's really impressive the way that he carries himself. Even if you disagree with his opinion, he agrees with his opinion, and he is not fucking mincing words. It is so cool for him to say, like, Nintendo has yet to realize that the best version of their future does not exist on their own fucking hardware. It's such a Giga Chad statement to make. But then also his leaked email about the PlayStation 5 reveal, saying now that we know what they have and we've seen what we have with our Xbox Series S option and our Xbox Series X, we have the better hardware, and I'm confident in our future plans, is really cool. And then maybe the most interesting one, and I think like the one where it's like, hey, boss rolled up his sleeves and he's mad, and I think he actually uses the term roll up his sleeve, but essentially when there's like a Redfall delay, a Starfield delay, and a couple other first party games that sort of like slip from the 2022 release schedule. And in early 2022, there's an email chain. I'm paraphrasing right from this IGN thing. It's an email chain between Xbox executives, including Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, and Sarah Bond, revealed how Microsoft was scrambling to find games for the company, which had a huge role in its lineup last year. So basically, what happened was, as those games slipped and they looked at the 2022 lineup, they said, this is kind of fucked. Games originally slated to release in 2022, including Starfield, Redfall, and Stalker 2 being delayed, were mentioned in the email. This is really a disaster situation for us, given all we've invested in content across studios at our GP Content Fund, Game Pass Content Fund. We need to learn from this and build a plan forward. Other interesting tidbits include Microsoft's comment on Baldur's Gate 3 as a second-run Stadia PC RPG. Okay,
Yeah,
it can't be all hits. You gotta have a couple misses in there.
you gotta have
but
bad takes. Yeah,
you look at those strategic partnerships that they created, and I believe he asked everybody to roll up their sleeves and, you know, put the pedal to the metal and find, you know, games to put on our platform. And I think when history looks back on Game Pass 2022, 2023, I think it's going to shine quite brightly on them, because they did a good job of supplying us with games, whereas Game Pass being the best value in video games is not a sentiment that existed pre-2021.
I think I'm gonna say it. The only reason Xbox is still a company is because it's got its mommy Microsoft money.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like,
It takes money to make money.
It's true. If PlayStation made the bad decisions that Xbox made back in the Xbox One era, I don't think there would be a PlayStation 6.
I get it.
And I think you know, the Microsoft money made Xbox survive for a little bit longer than it should have, and then they got the right leadership in the right places, and then now they're coming back. And competition's good. So
For sure.
Yeah.
The last thing to really talk about in this field is going to end up being games. I mean, there's other stuff that we missed or glanced over, but I feel like we're hitting the big bullet points here, and honestly, having a very dope conversation. GameList is a sweet podcast. Tell your friends.
It is.
Read off some of the shit that was leaked out here. There's some fucking huge titles that have yet to be announced. Again, grain of salt. We don't know.
Yeah. So this was their original plans. So I think this was a 2020 document that leaked. So there was an Oblivion remaster originally set for fiscal year of 2022, which is kind of crazy that it's almost the end of 2023 and we haven't heard of it.
It's game development in this fucking console generation.
Yeah, which also, as a follower of Bethesda games, there's Sky Oblivion, which is a like crowd-funded, crowd-developed mod.
The Skyrim mod, right?
Yeah, for Oblivion, that's going to be really cool. That
pretty cool.
But that's not related to this. That was just something that I thought of when I saw this. Doom Year Zero, and DLC in the fiscal year of 2023, and a second set of DLC in the fiscal year of 2024.
What do you think that game was?
I think it was Doom, but when like Doom guys first, like Doom Eternal. I think it was Doom Eternal, but rolled back to when he first
Do you think it was
encountered the demons.
Doom Reboot 3 though, despite where it took place? Do you think it's full
I don't think it's
$70 20-30 hour sequel?
Yeah. I think it's a prequel of Doom 2016.
Okay. Because I think I've heard other things floating around of like we may never know, well, we won't know the answer until it's concrete and released to us, but I think the other thing that people theorized is arguably you can look at like Doom and like the Wolfenstein reboot kind of as like almost like sister franchises in the way that they've been released, and maybe this could be like the Doom equivalent of Wolfenstein Youngblood, kind of like a pseudo sequel, a smaller game,
Youngblood
possibly
was
even
terrible.
multiplayer. Yeah, I've heard
Youngblood was
differing
awful,
things. That's the one. That's the multiplayer one. You play as the sisters, right?
Yes, I played that.
I played like 25 minutes of that, and I will say, I think I might have talked about it on this podcast, but one of the hardest and most genuine times that I've laughed in video games in the last few years was the opening scene when those two sisters are like, I don't know, up against the wall and they're having like their first like battle, and one of them fucking kills the guy, and it's the first time that they ever killed someone, and they both fucking freak out, and the girl starts throwing up from how gross it is. Caught me so off guard. I thought that was a pretty good moment.
Yeah, I played that with one of my close friends that I'm actually going to the Comic-Con with this weekend.
Oh, nice.
It was a miserable experience for both of us. But
right.
I love the Wolfenstein New Order and New Colossus, I think is what they're called. But
Wolfenstein, yeah, 2 is New Colossus, Wolfenstein New Order, and then the Old Blood or something like that was the DLC.
Yeah, Old Blood was a DLC. Yeah,
I think that sounds right.
But anyways, Fallout 3 remaster, fiscal year 2024. Big. I would play that.
What do you think is more popular, Oblivion remaster or Fallout 3 remaster?
Oblivion, easy.
Yeah. Okay.
Nobody, we haven't seen Elder Scrolls aside from Skyrim in years and years.
Yeah,
Oblivion.
to put out anything that is Elder Scrolls at this point is big.
Yeah, because we've had Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas.
I don't want to play Elder Scrolls 6. I want to play Skyrim 2.
Shut up. A sequel to Ghostwire Tokyo 2024, which is kind of wild because that came out in 2022. I want to say.
You think those ideas are scrapped?
Probably. Sadly, I liked Ghostwire Tokyo.
Because the director's gone, isn't he? I believe he left that studio shortly after the acquisition and the release of Hi-Fi Rush. I'm not positive. Continue.
And then my favorite, the most exciting to me, Dishonored 3, fiscal year 2024.
I think that's happening. I bet we see that game in 2025 or 2026. Yeah.
It's gotta, because here's what I thought. 2016, Dishonored 2 came out.
Mm-hmm.
I know I don't have the dates exactly right on this, but Dishonored 2 was a Arcane Leon production that was led by Harvey Smith. And then right after that we had Prey, which was an Arcane Austin thing. And then right after that we had Dishonored Death of the Outsider, which was like a standalone DLC to Dishonored 2. So there was a bunch of games right there between 2016 and 2020-ish, and then Deathloop came out in 2022? No, 2021. Deathloop came out in 2021. Dude, time has flown. It's almost 2 years since Deathloop came out. 2020
through 2024 is going to be like the historical run of like, fuck, those years blurred together and went quick, man. Like, it is already wild.
Yeah, so Dishonored 3 for fiscal year 2024 makes sense. It's probably delayed out to 2025, if anything. Maybe 6.
I think I would put money on Dishonored 3 being such a fucking banger, bro. I bet, because the best thing that could happen to Dishonored 3 is the failure of Redfall. Arcane needs a fucking win. Bad.
Absolutely.
Microsoft needs a win. They know that the studio has the opportunity. If the rumors are true about how Redfall was so far along, they acquired the studio, they were like, you know what, fucking get it done and release this thing, and they have done nothing about that game. They have not even spoken its name since it came out.
No,
there's no DLC. They're not fucking working on it. And just like, that game is swept under the rug. You forget that game came out 3.5 months ago, like 4 months ago.
May, I think.
Damage control. And there's been so many. It's good for them that there has been so many fucking Xbox headlines this year that overshadow Xbox's huge fumble. Yeah, for sure. But I bet, all fucking hands on deck. We need a fucking win, and it gets to be Dishonored 3, their beloved franchise, is gonna probably be a really hot ticket. Happy for you, man.
I would not be surprised if as soon as they finished up Deathloop, they stuck all of Arcane Leon on Dishonored 3, and then after Redfall was pushed out, they stuck all of Arcane Austin
Studio.
on it.
You guys helped with them.
Dude, I can't wait. Like,
yeah, that'll be cool.
I need y'all to understand, like, there are 2 games that I want desperately. I want more Sly Cooper. I want more Dishonored. Like, this is...
Gun to your head. You can only have one.
Sly Cooper.
Just Sly 4 or Sly next. Sly reboot,
Sly reboot, Sly remake. No, not reboot. I don't want a Sly reboot.
Remake would be the way to go.
Like, really, the sad thing is like the 3 biggest game franchises in my life, probably, like, growing up, the ones that were influential to me were Sly, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, Oblivion, and Dishonored. And it's like 2 of those are stuck on an Xbox, and I can't get the platinum trophy for them.
I'm telling you, you're a Phil guy. You're a Sean Layden Sony guy, and you're an Xbox Phil guy. You just got to count your eras.
Hats off to Phil. He's doing a great job. And then also, real quick, there were a couple other ones that had less information. The Indiana Jones game it was scheduled for 2022. Project Kestrel, 2023, and an expansion 2024. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Project Platinum, no information. And then Project, or not even Project, a vaguely named licensed IP game. So
got it. And then the other thing was at one point, I'm assuming until Red Dead Online failed, there was a rumor or there was communication about acquiring launch rights to
RDR
Red Dead Redemption 2
upgrade.
Current gen versions, which have fallen by the wayside. It looks like I don't think we're getting that anymore because it's they have cash cow.
They have the expected earnings for each of these games in here. They said Elder Scrolls 6 will make 1,000 million. So what?
That'd be $1 billion.
$1 billion?
That's $1 billion.
Oh, $1 billion. $1 billion. Sorry. That's
$1,000 million.
Whoa, dude! So the next one under that is Project Kestrel at $275 million.
Interesting.
Under that, licensed IP game, $225 million. And then there's a couple others.
Kestrel could be like Fable or something like that we've already seen.
I feel like no, Kestrel's got to be some big IP to draw something like that, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Fable's big IP, man.
Yeah, at the bottom, or near the bottom, it has Dishonored at 90 million, Starfield at 600 on its release year, 600 million, but
that's a lot.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Starfield? It's a good transition.
Are we done with Xbox for the most? Yeah, let's talk about Starfield.